record on.
Perfect. So hello. Our overview will be probably about 20 minutes or so, and then we'll have plenty of time for Q&A and discussion. So thanks everyone for being here. If questions pop into your mind though while we're talking, don't hesitate to put them in the chat and we'll be sure to get to them at the end. So don't be shy in doing that. All right. So we'll kick it off with some introductions. My name is Abby. I'm the vice chair of our board at Market 166, and I also lead our ownership and outreach efforts. I moved to the Atlanta area about 5 years ago to work with an organization called the Common Market, which is a regional food distributor. So they're still around and thriving, and they source food from local farmers and producers and connect it with nearby institutions, schools, hospitals. So I moved here to work for them and was there for a few years, and am now a full-time community organizer, and moved to the East Point area about 1.5 years ago. I've been following Market 166 since its inception pretty much, so was honestly really excited. I kind of waited until I lived in the area to become an owner, but became an owner about 1.5 years ago, and then got involved in the board about 1 year ago or so. And I'm just continually inspired by all the people, yourselves in this virtual room too, who are coming together to bring fresher, local, better food to our community, and just, connect with one another over food, something that really unites us all. So it's good to be here with y'all, and I'm grateful to be a part of this mission, this effort. And I will turn it over to Xander.
Hey, my name is Xander. I'm the secretary and interim treasurer for Market 166. I've lived in Metro Atlanta for about 8 years. I moved here for college in 2014, and have been in East Point for about 4 years now. And it was not long after I moved to East Point that I met both Pramil and Abby, actually, independently of one another, but at the same event at a meeting at a focus group for the city agriculture plan that the city of East Point was doing at the time. And I found out Pramil was working with Market 166 at a very early stage, and I found out about them and followed them for a couple of years before getting involved myself. I'm really enthusiastic about food access in Metro Atlanta and the Tri-Cities area and cooperative organizing. And I will pass it over to Pramil.
Hi, I'm Pramil. I've been doing this since the founding days where we started talking about the idea in a coffee shop, and then we had a board and so forth and so on. And my other life is a high school science teacher.
Great, thanks, Pramil. Let's see. So in terms of kind of what we're going to go over today, the presentation is broken up into 3 sections, if you will. Pramil is going to kick us off with where we've been. So what have we been up to since Market 166 was an idea and then became a cooperative? And then I'll share a little bit about where we are. So where are we in this moment? What are we up to? What are our priorities? And then Xander will share about where we're headed, where we go from here. And then, as you know, we'll kind of close out with some how you can get involved and then discussion and Q&A. But just to kind of ground us in some of the foundations, we're building a grocery cooperative here in the South Metro area, Tri-Cities. We'll talk a little bit more about why we don't know exactly where yet, but I think all of us are neighbors here. So somewhere near us, we will be building a cooperative grocery store. A cooperative is a business model that allows a group of people to combine our resources and meet our common needs. And for Market 166 specifically, our vision is that we're building a sustainable, community-owned grocery store that supports the financial and physical well-being of our neighborhood and our neighbors. And so with that, I am going to turn it to Pramil to chat about what we've been up to in the last few years of organizing.
All right, so this is about our 4th year organizing. And at first it was just people posting on Facebook. I think you've seen many posts, why don't we have a good grocery store? We need more options. And so we finally just decided to come together and do this as a community because we realize without a certain average household income, we're not going to get that Whole Foods to come into our neighborhood or Trader Joe's or so forth. So we decided to roll up our sleeves and handle this issue and pull together our resources and do this as a community. And the business model that makes sense for that is called a cooperative. And some of you have been to REI and some of you have been to Sevenanda. Those are examples of successful cooperatives. And we formed a board in 2018. We did the preliminary organizing, which is branding, creating a logo, website, written the bylaws, incorporated with the states, all the very exciting things. And then in 2019, we launched our very first ownership drive. And that was very exciting. We started to do tabling and going to events. And then in 2019, we had our first annual ownership meeting. We did that at Windmill, very exciting. And of course, it was still in person at that time. And then 2020 was very different. Of course, you know, the pandemic happened. Not sure if you missed that or not. We continued with our website. We actually did a preliminary feasibility study. So it was a professionally done feasibility study by someone outside who specializes in cooperative business models. And we continued our community drive mostly virtually because of the COVID. And then we had our annual owners meeting via Zoom. And then in 2021, we launched our committees where if you are an owner, part of being a owner is that you own this business. And so as we progress and do our activities, everyone has an oar and everyone's paddling and making this an effort since we're all equal owners. The board is here to steer and to give direction, but we opened up our committees and we have different areas that owners can get involved in to help make sure this is a reality. We had our third annual ownership meeting that year, and in 2022, we launched our Solidarity Shares, which is kind of like a pay it forward program for people who want to join, but maybe the $100 per household per lifetime is a little out of reach for that household. So you can start becoming an owner for your household at 20, and you have different options of how you would like to pay. We also passed our very first ownership stage of going beyond organizing and into 2B, which we'll talk about later. We do work with other cooperatives and an organization that helps grocery stores around the nation get started. And over a decade, they've been helping grocery stores in our nation, and they kind of have guidelines. And they have certain ownership numbers mean that you have a certain interest in your community to move to the next stage of developing and opening the store. So we passed the longest stage, which normally takes 3 to 5 years of organizing, to the feasibility and planning stage. So that was huge for us. And we hope by fall, we can get to the next stage, which is starting off our capital campaign and doing our ownership, our site selection.
Great, thank you. So I'll dive a little bit deeper on this 3-stage process that Pramil alluded to and where we are along that 3-stage process. Again, a lot of the idea here is just to kind of familiarize everybody in the room with, there's a lot of behind the scenes work happening right now, and it's been happening over the last few years. So we really want to help orient everybody here with what we've been up to, where we are, and all the progress that we've truly made and we'll keep making together. So as Pramil mentioned, this is actually the first info session we've held since we are no longer in stage 1. So let's clap for that. Stage 1 is often the longest and the most difficult stage for cooperatives. It's the organizing phase. That's the phase where we bring about the organization, if you will. So in that stage, and this is pulling a lot of language from FCI. So people come together. We recognize a common problem or a common need that a food co-op could meet. So we've talked a little bit about what some of those are. A lot of us want fresher or higher quality foods. I know I personally am really excited to be able to buy more easily from many of the great farmers and local businesses that I got to know and work with at Common Market, but are really hard to access in a retail or in a retail capacity or as an individual. So I know something I'm really excited for is to buy local and buy from our region. The stage 1, the organizing phase, it includes convening a core group, so our board of directors, assessing common interests and needs. Pramil talked about that in the community interest surveys and a lot of the early community engagement that happened. Designating leadership, so we've established our board, like I mentioned. Building a shared vision, which we've done, and organizing also involves committing a lot of time and money to get the initial startup co-op going. So there's 3 key milestones. Again, excited to say that all of those have been met. So we have a fully seated board, we're incorporated as a cooperative with the state of Georgia, and we have met our ownership goal. So for us, for Market 166, based on our community size, our ownership milestone was 300 initial owners before FCI, the Food Co-op Initiative, who we're working with, recommends that we move from stage 1 to stage 2. Just to kind of, I found this helpful to learn anyway when I first started getting involved with Market 166. On average, it takes about 5 to 7 years, again, on average, for a lot of food co-ops to move from a concept to opening their doors. So Market 166 has been around for, has incorporated about 3.5 years ago. So just to kind of orient y'all with where we are in the timeline, we are definitely on track with that average. We would love to, I think we all know the sooner the better, but I do think it's helpful to just know that this is community built and community led, and it takes a lot of time. There's a lot of behind the scenes work happening here, like I mentioned. If we rush, like anything, then our foundation isn't sturdy. So that is often why the first stage takes a while. I do also want to say that ownership in our cooperative, it's a critical milestone for a couple of reasons. For one, it proves our viability as a business. If we can't grow our owners, we can't prove that we need a store. It also means that we're serious, that we mean business. We have folks in the community who are willing to invest, to back our initiative, and who are going to be our future customers. We don't have an out-of-state CEO or like deeply lined pockets to open up the store. It is our community coming together that's going to open up the store. So stage 2, it has 2 parts to it. Stage A, which is feasibility, and stage B, which is planning. We are now in stage 2, which means that we are assessing our market potential and getting really a better sense of what will our business look like and what are our business opportunities here. Stage 2B is something I'm sure a lot of us are excited for, and I know I am. Stage 2B is where we choose our location and find out where our store will be located. Just so you all know, we're working with one of the top grocery co-op consultants in the country through our connections with FCI to conduct our pro forma, which is our full business plan, and will really guide a lot of our nitty-gritty decisions that we'll make as we take this vision into reality. And the third stage is implementation, construction, and then pre-opening until we open the doors. So what that means is that stage 3 brings about an open store and the satisfaction of our owners. So you'll notice a theme here that we're very owner focused and we exist for each other. So in stage 3, again, pulling a lot of this language from FCI's guidance, we will have demonstrated capacity for our vision, our talent, systems, and capital. Building out a grocery store is no joke in terms of the capital requirements. So not quite yet, but soon you'll hear us starting to talk about a capital campaign and the funds that we'll need. Stage 3 includes pre-construction and design, construction and renovation, preparing for opening, which has a lot of different levels of requirements, and then sustaining that first year and beyond. And again, making sure that we are meeting the needs of our owners. And for those who maybe are like me and a little bit more visual learners, this is just so you can kind of see where we are in the process. We've passed out of stage 1 and we are in stage 2A, and you'll see along the kind of vertical line there, those numbers are the ownership numbers needed or suggested, if you will, to move from stage 1 to stage 2A to stage 2B. So the pace at which we grow is really determined by the pace at which we can bring in new owners. And with that, I will turn it over to Xander to talk about where we go from here.
Hey, so I'm going to be talking a little bit more in detail about especially the facets of stage 2A that Abby was talking about earlier, which is the one that we're in right now, and that we as an organization are super focused on this year, moving towards those goals and also moving towards the broader goals of the co-op when it comes to building a grocery store. So just to sort of center us and give a little bit of context before we talk about the work that we have been doing, I'm going to come back and talk about our vision as a cooperative of what it is that we ultimately want to build. So our vision is that Market 166 will be a sustainable, community-owned grocery store that supports the physical well-being of our neighborhood and our neighbors. And in the process of building that, we really want to maintain connection with our values of member equity, making sure that we are supporting all the members of the community who have joined the co-op, providing convenient, healthy, and affordable food for residents of this area, economic empowerment. We really want to engage with local farmers, local businesses, and local cooks to make sure that we're driving a local food economy and ecosystem rather than just selling food locally. And we want to provide a space to bring neighbors together and create a deeper sense of community. And in practice, what we hope that vision will look like is, first and foremost, a grocery store with a full range of products, including meat, dairy, organic foods, and local options, and options at a variety of price ranges to make sure that it's affordable for all members of the community. A cafe and deli with seating, grab and go prepared foods, as well as a space for people to come and sit, do work, meet with friends and neighbors. Support and resources for local food startups, which includes prioritizing sourcing from local businesses when possible, and also providing other forms of support. Like we have talked about the possibility, if possible, of trying to establish a shared kitchen space that could serve as an incubator. So we want to be a space that can provide resources to support those businesses. And bringing it all together, we want to be a food destination where people come to buy, to cook, to enjoy their food, and to share it with their friends and neighbors. Now, to get into a little more detail about what we as a board are doing right now to make this a reality. We have 3 main goals on our list of priorities for 2022. And the first one is we want to start having a positive impact on the local food system, even in our pre-store phase. So we know that building a brick and mortar grocery store, getting, cooling, refrigeration, bathrooms, shelves, all this stuff, as well as a large enough space, it's a lengthy and expensive process. And we want to make sure that as an organization, we're starting to have direct contact with members of the community and helping to meet their food and grocery needs before then. So we have been working over the last few months as a board on a plan to launch what we've been calling Mini Market 166. We do not have an exact date yet, although we are very excited to say that we have just recently placed our first order for inventory, and we are fully expecting to open up at the East Point Farmers Market this summer. So that's really exciting, and it's a huge goal that we've been working on and planning. Board member Chelsea has really taken the lead on that and been amazing at planning and helping to make this a reality. So we're really excited that over the next couple of months, we're going to be out at the East Point Farmers Market on a regular basis in downtown East Point, where you can come and actually start to buy groceries from Market 166. So that's really exciting. That's one of our big goals for the year. And it is not accomplished yet, but we are really excited about the progress that we've been making on that as a board. Our second big goal is that we want to increase our ownership by 200. So this is a really huge jump from where we had been at the start of the year. And right now we're a good ways into that. So we started out at 250 and now we're, I believe, is it about 320? Yeah, so we've brought in 70 new owners so far this year. This 450 by the end of the year is a really ambitious goal, and that means we need to bring in 20 new owners every month. So you're going to hear us say this again, but if everything you're hearing here really resonates with you as a member of this community, we really encourage you to join now, because meeting that goal, if we can get to this 450 owners by the end of the month, I don't know if you remember, but that was actually a number Abby brought up earlier. It's the number that the Food Co-op Initiative, the FCI, they consider sort of the boundary between stage 2A and stage 2B, which, not to get all technical on you, but what that really means for us is that when we reach that 450 owner number, we're going to be in a position where co-op experts tell us that we are ready to start working on the very concrete details of a brick and mortar location, including starting to negotiate with landlords and really get into some of the exciting details. So just to sort of motivate any of you who are non-owners, we have an ambitious ownership goal for this year, and if we can reach it, it's going to bring us much closer to being able to make this a reality for everyone. And then our third goal, which also came up earlier, is we are working to complete a pro forma for the brick and mortar grocery this year. So as Abby said, we're working with Colluminate, which is a leading cooperative consultancy. We have received drafts of the pro forma, and we're going to be continuing to meet with them over the coming weeks as a board to learn more about it and help to understand how we can use this document to inform the capital campaign, the fundraising, and the search for a location that we're hoping to be doing over the coming year or two. So that's another really exciting goal that we had set for this year, which we are making really big progress on and fully expecting to meet that goal. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about that second goal, increasing ownership by 200. So one of the big things that we did early this year in January was we recognized that we had a very rigid pricing structure for our ownership shares. So up until this point, we have said that an ownership share in Market 166 is $100 for a household. And we recognize that we're in an area where there's a huge range of income levels. And what ownership really represents for us is people making an investment, that this cooperative project is something that they care about, making a meaningful investment, and that a meaningful investment, what that dollar amount is that shows that this is something you're passionate about and something that will make a difference in your life, is different for every household. So we have made our pricing structure more flexible. There's now a wide variety of prices. We offer shares for as little as $20 to make sure that ownership is accessible to everyone. And we also encourage members of the community who have a little bit more disposable income, if this is something that you're really passionate about, buying in at a higher price is also something that makes a really huge difference, allowing us to spend that money on marketing, to spend that money on fundraising, and really help to accelerate the growth and make sure that we're growing equitably in the community by keeping ownership accessible to everyone in the Tri-Cities area. And with that, I am going to pass it back to Abby to wrap things up.
Great. Yeah, this is our last slide. So after this, we're anxious to hear from y'all, thoughts, questions, feedback, anything you want to hear more about. But if you haven't gotten the impression yet, if you love how this sounds and you are wondering how can you better support it, if you're not yet an owner, become an owner today. It's May 1st. So if we can start off this month with like 10 new owners, we'll be halfway to our monthly goal, which would, I know, make my heart very happy, along with probably a lot of our owners as well. So if you're not yet an owner, become an owner today. If you are already an owner, you can gift an ownership share to someone you know. We've had folks gift ownership shares to their employees, to their neighbors, to their children. All that means is you go on our website and you fill out our ownership form with that that person's, whether it's a friend, loved one, coworker, that person's information, but then you enter payment. So you're giving them an ownership. So that's a great thing to do. Stay in touch with us. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and I'll drop links in the chat in just a moment for all the things that I'm referring to. We also send out a quarterly newsletter with some major updates. And so you can subscribe to that on our website as well. Volunteer with us. We have the mini market launching, like Xander mentioned, sometime early this summer. And then an initiative that I'm launching shortly alongside others at the Ownership and Outreach Committee is door-to-door canvassing. We want to reach people in different ways, and we know that one of the best ways to reach people in a grassroots initiative is to knock on their doors, have conversations with them, leave flyers at the doors where people aren't home. So that's another link that I'll drop in the chat, is you can sign up to join us. Those are kicking off in May to pilot those. And then we also have community events that are open to anybody, whether you're an owner or not. A huge part of a cooperative is just getting together, gathering people who are neighbors who care about each other and care about common things. So save the date, May 21st. One of our board members, Alice, is putting together a fun social for you and friends, neighbors, whoever. We don't have all the details squared away yet, though, but definitely save the date for the afternoon of May 21st. And with that, I think we can, let's see, I'll stop presenting, and everybody here should be able to